Good evening and welcome to Lodi in the World, where I sit down and talk with local leaders and influential individuals in the Lodi Valley about how Lodi affects the world and the world affects Lodi. So tonight I have Mike Clark. I promise not to call you Larry tonight.
It's okay. Happens a lot.
From the Lodi Sausage Company, which would be the locker market to us old people. And we're going to talk a little bit about being a local business owner, about local supply of meat and shopping local and sourcing local, and how Lodi fits into the meat industry and the food industry across the country and globally, and how that affects us.
Sure.
So first off, Lodi Sausage Company, under one name or another, has been around since 1939.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And I was trying to go through it in my head. I believe you are the last of the, OG downtown, the old school. It was you and the bakery.
You might be right. I never thought about that, but I think we are the only business that's been around that long, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bushnell and Ford. I don't know how. That's kind of
Okay. Bushnell's has been around for a long time. I remember them being smaller when I was a kid, so they're still
still there on Main Street.
Okay. So it's what's it feel like to be a local landmark?
Yeah, no, I feel obviously lucky that we've been in business for my dad, that he's done well and had it for over 30 years. Of course, the Petersons had it before us.
Yep, I remember that.
And they also had it for about 30 years. And there was one other owner before them that had it about similar time period. So kind of just transitioned and kept carrying on. And obviously the Petersons, Jim was great at making sausage and new recipes and won a lot of awards. So he was kind of the one behind the scenes that came up with all of that. And we've carried on his recipes really from what he developed.
Oh, so you got all the original.
Yeah, yep, of what he made. I mean, I don't know the other owner if they did as much sausage making as Jim did. Jim kind of was really into that and would go to all the shows and all the universities around the area.
Uh-huh.
He was always into that and studying it. So he was really the reason that we have such good products that are unique and have good flavor and are, we do well with them, is because of him, and still win awards. I mean, it's amazing. We bring them international. We've done, United States, and then the Wisconsin one is very hard. There's a lot of Wisconsin meat markets. So competition wise there, we win something every year. So we're pretty lucky to have those recipes.
That's great coming out of Little Lodi.
Yeah. It's just interesting how that's worked out.
When you're competing nationally or globally, how does, not quality wise, but sort of, I would say flavor wise or style wise, how does the stuff that is produced here compare to what other people are producing?
Sure. Wisconsin does have kind of that summer sausage and those type of items that are kind of more up in this area, I think. So there's many entries in that level here, where when you start to go, international and things like that, the flavors are so much different. A lot more dried sausages, I think. When we were in Germany, we noticed we don't get to taste them all, which kind of sucks. You have to be, a judge or whatever, to do that. So really, we just kind of enter our products, see all the products, but then don't get to taste all the products. Unfortunately,
you'll go out and do a little shopping while you're there.
Nobody sells it there because you're all traveling or you're at these events and you don't sell your product there. You kind of just enter it into that competition that
you're staying in Germany. You're at a hotel. You go down to the local shop and or restaurant.
We had lots of different food. Yeah, while we were there, it was very good. So
you're talking about different foods in different areas. I was in China for 6 years.
Okay.
And a friend who's from the north, Harbin, and it's about the same as Wisconsin, latitude wise.
Sure.
And she's like, "Oh, I brought you some special sausages from my hometown." I'm like, "Oh, great! I better know that." Lanyagers.
Really?
Exactly, Lanyagers. So there are. Dang. For me, it was interesting to see the similarities, but what are the differences? Are there any other places you found that you go, "Oh, well, yeah, we make that.
I'm trying to think because actually, when you travel, even in the United States, you don't see a lot of those. You see the big brands that are
Yeah.
out there, but not the type of quality and the type of meats that we use in some of our stuff. So really, I haven't seen many different. You see so many different things, but I've never really ran into anything that's I guess you see some stuff like ours, obviously in Wisconsin a lot, but you get outside and you start to see different things, but it's not quite the quality, I would say.
Okay.
More bigger companies making it.
So when let's start out with some of the simple stuff. What's your most popular type of food? Because you do the sausages,
Yeah.
and you also do straight cuts of beef and
Sure.
and pork and
Yeah.
just beef and pork.
Beef, pork. We do get lamb.
Okay.
Once in a while, but for fresh meats, that's about the things we process.
So what sells around here?
Bacon. Bacon is probably one of our. It's up there with the summer sausage, for that end.
You smoke your own bacon? You do your own?
We do our own bacon. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's fresh every week, and so I think that's part of the reason we do it in smaller batches. So it takes on a little more of that smoke flavor. And we cut it a little thicker, which that's common now. There's companies doing that, whatever. But we've had very good luck with that. We wholesale it to a few Madison stores I was telling you, and Piggly Wiggly Wanakee, and they do really well with the bacon. I don't know if it's just because it's local. It has a great flavor, obviously. I only eat that bacon, so I never tried the bacon, so I can't tell you.
I don't eat bacon very rarely. So
I know, and so I can't tell you how other bacons, but we do a lot with that. And then obviously on the fresh meat side, ribeyes are probably the number one steak seller that we have. Tenderloins right up there too, I think, just because we are kind of that specialty meat market and they're looking for a good steak when they come in. And those are probably two of your most tender steaks. Now,
when you go in, you don't have those usually sitting in the case. I mean, you've got a small shop.
Yes.
So if I come in and I want, a ribeye or a chuck eye or a chuck roll or whatever, I just ask?
Yeah, yep. So we can't have everything out in our case all the time. Obviously, meat has a short shelf life too.
Yeah.
So just to put out all these different cuts, it's hard to do. So, so by order, we can do pretty much anything. And then obviously we have, all those cuts like tenderloins. We don't just cut them out and put them out every day. We have them whole and then we cut them to order when they come in, and we just try and keep them as fresh as possible that way. So, but any of those, our production is always so busy that our retail side sometimes we don't have everything out. So if you ask for it, we try and
it's there.
Yes,
just not sitting
usually or get it if we need to.
Okay. Now you source strictly local?
As close as we can. So we obviously have our own processing plant, which is a nice advantage. So we do beef and pork and lamb, like I mentioned. We do process a lot for farmers in the area that have their own customers. And so we just process for them also. So we're doing their meat for them, giving it to their customers. They come pick it up. So that's a big part of our business.
So they pick up from you?
Yeah. Their customers come here. So that actually, it brings a lot of people to Lodi. I mean, we're doing 12, 13 beef a week. Split 4 ways, each beef usually is a quarter or half, So a lot of people coming every week to pick up their order, and then they shop at our store, which is nice for us. They'll get sausage or bacon or whatever.
Or wine or cheese or you've got a nice selection in the cases there.
So other stuff. And then usually they'll stop at another business maybe or walk down Main Street or get something to eat. So it's always been a nice thing that I feel like be having it on Main Street. We have our other location, and I've always thought about adding on out there. And it's like,
what other location?
Where the processing plant is.
Oh,
we got
okay.
Land out there, so if we would expand, we have an area to do it. But I would just I feel bad to take the meat market off of Main Street. That would be our option. But
I wouldn't take that away, but you could add on special other stuff out there,
for production, yes.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know where that is, that's on 113 towards Dane, right at the railroad tracks on County Line Road. That's the little
Processing
processing plant right there. It's a tiny little building
Yeah,
to be doing that much work out of.
Yeah, it's bigger than you think. Actually, it has its own barn, like stanchions in it. It has the processing plant for harvesting, and then it has a huge cooler off the back where all the halves of beef and pigs and everything hang. So I mean, it's bigger than you think.
It looks tiny.
I know. Yeah, no, it's pretty decent size, but.
Now, a couple of questions coming off of this as you process your own meat. One of the big topics that's going on is food waste in America.
Sure.
And when you're cutting down into quarters, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out of there. What happens to that?
Sure. We have a rendering company that does pick up like any fat or bones and things that we don't use. They use it for different things. It was dog food at one time, and I don't know if they're able to use it all for that anymore. I know like a lot of fat they use it for makeup and things. There's some different. I've seen cook it down and whatever, but
I've seen lists for a cow, but there are over 250 separate products that aren't meat.
Sure. Are used for other things.
Yeah, leather for footballs and makeup and
sure.
Beef fat goes into roads and tires to make them more resilient and rubbery. Which
is interesting. I never would think that would work.
Yeah. But so you have someone that's taking it away, and it is being used. It's not being
the hides,
disposed
everything.
of.
We have someone even with deer hides there, pick up all the hides and then they tan them or do something with them and sell them off. And so we're always having some company that helps us with anything that is scrapped or not usable for us.
Now, when you're trimming down meat, you're going to get a lot of scrap off of that. That's meat, just meat and fat and such. What do you do with that?
With the
trimming?
Sure. Oh yeah. You can use it in some sausage products.
Okay.
If you're using a real lean meat like venison or elk or moose or anything that's like a game, you need some fat with it. So there we use the beef fat quite a bit with that.
Okay.
That needs to be added, especially to the burger. We do like 10% beef fat with that to give it a little flavor and to give it some
fat. Venison's burger is
so dry if you don't have it with it. So it works out really well. So we do have other products that we get to use that in a portion. And our sausages and things that you make with venison too, you need a little bit of fat in there to give it flavor. And when it cooks too, otherwise it would just dry right up into nothing. So.
And then we were talking briefly about people come in because you can get things at the locker that you can't get at most other places. So what are some of the odd things that you sell that people might not expect?
Sure.
But want?
Yeah. Oxtail is a big one. Beef tongue. All these things too have become very popular, but flank steak.
So like oxtail and beef tongue are popular again?
Yeah, they're really coming back, and probably because of the price of meat.
Okay.
And obviously we have beef liver, pork liver, hearts.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Hearts, yeah. So those are all things that you wouldn't think of, I guess, as you walk through a grocery store or see on a shelf.
Yeah.
There's like, tri-tip has became really popular.
Okay.
It's these different cuts
that
come off of other cuts.
Now, I actually know what a tri-tip is. What is a tri-tip? What is...
It's the top cap to the sirloin. So really it's just another name for a part of the sirloin steak that you would get. If you get the whole sirloin, there's kind of a top piece that kind of falls off almost. So you just take that off altogether, and it only weighs about 2 pounds, but off of the whole sirloin, you take it off.
It is sirloin. It's a roast.
Yeah, they call it a roast. It's a thinner roast. It is. Yeah, but so it's better to slow cook it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're talking about that. There's been from what I've seen, a huge popularity in smoking.
Yes, huge. Especially
And
during COVID, it was crazy.
when I was working out of the pig, it was people coming in for pork butts.
Yes. Yep.
So what have you got for the smokers?
Yeah. No, so that's another thing that is just blowing up, and those things were all really reasonable too. And pork butt still is pretty reasonable, but brisket became really popular. Baby back ribs, all the things that people are kind of knowing to smoke or to try, and so they all got kind of expensive just because people were buying a lot of it.
Mhm.
And those were cuts that usually were just ground into ground beef or whatever, and not used for that special cut, and then it kind of grew in popularity. But so we do sell a lot more briskets, pork butts, baby back ribs, I would say. Trying to think anything else for the smoker that they're doing, but obviously hams, that's
Yeah.
try those and stuff.
So you're talking about raw ham.
Yes, sorry.
So it's one of the things. And for those who don't know the cuts, pork butt is actually a shoulder.
Correct. Yep, same thing.
Yeah, and where a ham is closer to the butt. It's a back leg.
That's confusing.
Yeah. So some of the names, and if you don't know, if someone comes in and says, I need the recipe calls for this.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't have that, or what is this? Where do I get it?
Yeah.
If you don't have that, what's the closest thing I can get? What's a good substitute?
Sure.
Can they ask that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, we obviously have, again, pretty much any cut, but we sometimes have to look it up even because it's these weird recipes that people are like coming up with, especially during COVID. They were like cooking way more than normal, and there's a different name for everything. And some things are just, they have a name for the cooking of it, but it's like not the name of the meat.
Not
You have
yes.
to like research it to put it together. But
And there are regional names.
yeah. I'm trying to think of one that always, like London broil. People are like,
Yeah.
you get that? Or like, it's not really a cut of meat, but yes, we
Yeah,
get
you get that.
But that's the way you prepare it.
The other one that I was told is it's prime rib. No, it's a ribeye.
Oh,
Prime is the quality.
Yes.
Yeah, but we always call it prime rib.
And that would be, and now a lot of people refer to it as a roast then. If
Yeah.
you say prime rib, then it's a roast. A ribeye is a steak.
Is a steak.
But it's the same piece of meat.
Same piece of meat. Yeah. Now, Lodi in the area, and you're saying you're getting people coming in from outside the area to get their, their quarter or their half beef or pig.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any changes as we become a little bit more diverse in the area? Rather than people coming in, the old school, I want a ribeye, I want my liver for liver and onions, I want,
Yeah.
Are you seeing different requests?
We have, yeah. I mean, a lot of these new cuts, you know what I mean? Like when we used to cut the beef, it was, you got your steaks, the good steaks out of there, your roast and burger, and that's it. You know what I mean? That's what everybody did. That's all they knew.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's brisket, flank steak, skirt steak, all these extra stuff. Oxtail. I want soup bones. I want short ribs. Short ribs are a smoking thing.
Okay.
So just all these extra things that have came about and people are starting to hear about. So now they're ordering it. So it's made our cutting process a little more complicated. Instead of just boning out for a burger, you're doing a little more work to make sure to get all these cuts out. But it's not a big either way. We're cutting it up and doing it, so it's not like it's a extra charge or anything. It just is amazing all these new things that have kind of came about that way.
Yeah. This is one of the things that growing up in Lodi, it was, cut and dried, simple stuff all the way across the board. Here's your, pork chop and mashed potatoes, pork chop and sauerkraut. That having been away for many years and coming back, I've got a perspective, and I'm always asking people who've been here the whole time, how have you seen it change?
Sure.
So that's interesting to see that even the way we cut meat is changing and developing. Now, meat prices over the past couple of years, with all that's going on, obviously went up, and everybody's seen that.
Sure. Yeah.
how does being sourced locally, has the global market affected you very much?
It has, obviously, we have suppliers too that we work with. We've got to buy some things in because we might sell, 600 pounds of bacon one week for our grocery stores that we're doing for and things like that. And we can't process that many pigs to get that many pork bellies to make that much bacon. So we'll have to buy in some pork bellies. And luckily, like Iowa and things like that, there's close places that have a lot of them and raise a lot of pigs. So we get them pretty much locally sourced.
Regionally.
Yeah, regionally sourced. Okay. Yeah. Which is nice that we're able to do that. But yeah, so we're seeing that we're in the price of what we're buying it in for, then we have to process it still, cure it, smoke it, slice it, package it, and then so our prices changed on a lot of our things. Also, summer sausage, one of them too. I mean, beef in general, just to buy it, went up quite a bit, and we put beef in most of our snack sticks and summer sausage and things like that, and that's why it is a little leaner and not so fat and has that flavor that people are used to, but we didn't want to change that or put more pork in it or something that's cheaper, which a lot of companies do just to offset the cost a little. You add fillers or fat even. It's a good filler.
Chicken is in everything now.
Sure.
Which I didn't know, but I have a friend who's allergic to chicken.
Oh gosh.
And he's like, I can't eat most processed foods.
Yeah. No, it's just a cheaper meat that they can fit in there, and then you add spices to it, and it doesn't turn out too different, but it does have a different flavor usually. But yeah, with the local market, obviously what we've seen is then the production or people wanting to produce, like all these farmers have customers, and their customers are really wanting their beef or hogs because of the value too, the difference of cost. So I think that's why that's kind of taken off. As prices were going up in the grocery stores, if you do buy in bulk, it is quite a bit cheaper. Those prices haven't changed as much, and that's what's so confusing is the farmers weren't getting a lot more at the market than they were before.
Oh, okay.
So they're willing to sell their cattle for, it is a little higher, but it's not much higher. But everything else, when you go buy stuff at the stores, it's a lot higher. So they were not selling it for as much, and then you get it in bulk, and you're getting a lot better deal and getting all your steaks and roast, and you get a burger with it, whatever. But it's still a really good deal. So I think that's end of our business has really picked up and is still going strong this year, more than we've seen in the past, just because of the prices.
Are farmers raising more to meet demand, or is it?
A lot of our farmers in the area already had them and have done it for years, and they always have extra. They bring some to market and they sell some to customers. So when their demand went up, they just said, "Oh, I'll sell more to customers and make a little more money than I would at the market, maybe." So that's a good business for them.
So it's not a change in the size of the herd; it's just a shifting as to where it's being sold.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. If they can, get a little more money locally, and it's still a great deal for them in the end, than sending them all to market, and you don't get as much for each.
Do you think that going forward, as things start returning back to normal, will that continue?
Yeah, we kind of wondered that, and even when I came back and took over the business with my dad, probably like 13 years ago, I thought this would die off, the processing end. So I concentrated a little more on retail and our sausage making and kind of the deer season, and it's done the opposite. And I just don't know if there'll always be that swing back to local foods and where my food came from. And that's what happened, within the last 10 years, again, people were just very concerned where their food came from. And obviously we have that process down. We've been doing it a long time. Everyone that gets it likes the burger better. They like, how their steaks, we age the meat correctly. We do all those things where I think bigger companies aren't doing that anymore because they need to push it through as fast as possible. So I just think we've got this, I don't know if it'll we thought it might die out. I thought with younger families, both spouses working, that they wouldn't cook at home as much. They wouldn't need that much meat at home, but it's kind of stayed around and it's actually growing, which we were just so surprised by.
It's interesting. It's because I know that this past couple years aside, cooking at home has gone down.
Yeah, yeah,
But on the flip side of that, there's a whole, as you say, this resurgence of I want local food. I want to know where my food comes from.
exactly.
And I grew to understand it very well overseas, where there are horror stories in China. And there was a plant near where I live that supplied Tyson, McDonald's, Burger King, a couple others. And
Sure.
when the inspectors would come in, they would shift meat off of one line and only put the good meat on. And
Yeah,
a reporter went in,
sure.
and the story blew up, and it was just like a huge thing. And I kept thinking, we've got the butcher shop down the street.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's good to see people understanding that we can get our food locally. We know where it comes from, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, tagging on to that, we talked briefly about this before we started. Everything's inspected.
Everything.
Okay. And state inspection, federal inspection.
We're state inspected.
Okay. What's the difference?
Not much. Just the person that comes in, and we get inspected every day. They go through all of our records every day. And when we process at our processing plant, they stay and stamp every animal that we process. So it's very thorough. They are obviously, Wisconsin, is very comparable to federal. So it's not any different. They follow all the same guidelines, and we have, our own plans, our HACCP plans that we follow and that we have to do. And they check those every day, make sure all of our meats that we're cooking, because we do smoking and cooking, they make sure all those temperatures are reached to make sure they're safe for eating and things like that. So we have a lot of records that we would be amazed how many records we keep.
I'm familiar with a small section of that,
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
that was enough to go. Everything that goes into the grinder has to be recorded,
Yeah,
and that's okay. We cut from 27 boxes today. All of those need to be.
yeah. We take temperatures on everything, like all the beef that come out of the cooler or anything like that at every time. So just to make sure there's no slip in the system, and it's a very good system, and they've obviously done it for a reason, because those plants, like you said, in China that were doing their own thing and not following those, and you get a bad process.
And I joke with people when they talk about, well, I don't know that this has got today's date on it. Is it still good? They're like it's still good. That sell by date is really, really conservative. It's really cautious.
Yeah, yeah.
And I joke. I said, all the food recalls, it's always vegetables.
It's very true.
Those sprouts are going to get you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it is so strictly regulated.
You would be, and my one thing my dad's always said or whatever, but restaurants, if you ever go to a restaurant, look in the kitchen once or whatever and see who's, what their regulations are whenever they get inspected once a year, and they're serving cooked food.
Yeah.
We're serving raw food mostly. We obviously have our smoking
and
cooked foods, but it's just.
We're always dealing with raw food.
Yeah, to start. So it's just amazing that every day we get someone is in our plant and goes through everything and checks all the coolers, but it's just the way it's set up, which it's just, and you hope at the restaurants they're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
because that's food that's going into your mouth that has been cooked. So
now we are coming up on the holiday season, which is like I've been trying to get him in for like 3 months now. And it's been one or the other of us. Oh, no, that just kidding. Oh, no. No. So finally I said, I saw you at the wine bar last week. And I said, can you come in on Wednesday? Because I got to get you before we hit November, because we're getting into the holiday season.
Yes.
And I have seen the number of gift boxes that come out of there. When I had worked out at Don's Marine and the
Oh,
UPS.
oh,
And
sure.
every day for a month, you'd be coming in with just loads and loads of boxes.
Yeah.
So tell me about the gift boxes. Where do they go? I mean, I think I remember some of those being like international. Your people are sending overseas.
There was at times. It's been a little harder now since COVID too to even ship. It's so expensive right now.
Oh,
But
yeah, okay.
yeah, that's gotten the expenses gone up in that end. But so sure, yeah, we obviously do all of our stuff. We're able to ship it, which is nice, and we do have an online store that showcases some of those gift boxes and things, and they are very popular for Christmas. We are probably our main one is businesses that do it for their customers, and so we'll ship a lot of theirs out for them. I've got an order already, like somebody has like 275 gift boxes that they want.
And when you talk about for their customers, are you talking about a business is sending out to the businesses that they do business with?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, or their employees sometimes to give them away to their employees. So that's always been a kind of an add-on business for us. Again, we don't have the biggest shop.
Mhm.
Obviously, we can do production, which is nice, so we can get the stuff made. But it's amazing how much it's almost like its own business during that time because it's that busy. But deer season is coming up too, so we go from deer season right into gift boxes and Christmas hams and all that kind of stuff.
Now, for the deer hunters who don't know, what do you offer for deer processing?
Sure, yeah, we pretty much do it all. So if they do want to bring us the whole deer with the hide on it, we have that processing plant outside of town, which is nice. Not a lot of places have that, so we drop them off there. We do the hides and everything out there, and so they can bring us the whole deer. We'll process it, cut it in any cuts they want, and then make any sausage if they choose to. Otherwise, we grind the trimmings for burger for them. And then we do trimmings. People bring in trimmings from stuff they process on their own, and we get a lot of that too. I mean, we're talking, we do probably 800-900 deer, a year, whole deer, and then we probably get double that in trim that people bring us in. So it's a lot of meat. It takes us probably 6 to 8 months to make it all.
And some delicious
sausage.
venison sausage.
Yeah,
delicious venison sausage.
And again, it's those recipes from Jim Peterson. Those are the same recipes. We use it on all of them. You know what I mean? It's just carried over, and so it's pretty lucky again to have those.
So you're using old school recipes and quality ingredients and
yeah, that's the difference. Is what I mean? Is just making sure that what you start with is good.
Now, does Wisconsin have a venison donation law?
They don't. They have a program. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And it's I forget the exact name of it, whatever, but it is set up. You can choose to do it or not. You don't have to do it.
Right.
But we do
Okay.
do it, and
So this is for people again new to the area or new to hunting.
Yeah.
If you are hunting for sport but don't want necessarily all the meat or any of it, which I find to be a shame.
Sure.
Because I love my venison. That you can bring it to you and say, I want to donate this.
Drop off the whole deer. They don't pay a dime.
And all of that goes to food pantries and shelters and people who need it. And so.
Yeah. Yep. We process it into venison burger. And then at the end of the season, we call all the food pantries in the area. I think we served probably 5 this last year. We were able to do Reach Out Lodi, Arlington, Portage, Sauk, I think got some this year, and then there was one more. But so it goes a long way. So it's
burger only?
Burger only.
Okay.
Yep. Other people, if they want to, take their own meat and donate, I'm sure that happens or whatever. But we only do burger is what they need most, I guess. It goes in a lot of meals.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were doing sausage and that also.
No, that's a little more of a process, and then to do all that and the smoking. So we don't make any of that for the food pantries.
But still, that's how much roughly how much donation do you get? You think
we get probably, I would say, 30 to 40 deer a year.
Okay, and so you're talking about what, 50 to 100 pounds per deer.
Yeah. Yeah. 50 pounds per deer, I would say. It's
Okay.
on average. Yeah.
So, there's
Yeah, it's
5,000 pounds of burger.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It can
Yeah.
add up. So
And it would actually be a little more than that because you said you're mixing some beef in there for the fat.
we do 10%.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
5,500.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful that you do that. I mean, that is time and effort coming from you. But I've been talking to a lot of people over the past 2 years and a lot of businesses, and everybody is saying the same thing. This is our home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have the ability to do something to help out. It costs us a little bit, but compared to what we're giving.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
thank you for
a
that.
long ways. Yeah, and again, we don't have a lot of. We're not buying in any product. We're not doing. We have obviously the casing or the bag we put it in.
But it's still time and effort and wear and tear on the machinery and
Yeah. Yep. No.
the time cutting.
There's a lot. That's the neat thing about Lodi. I think a lot of businesses, and we don't have a ton of big businesses in Lodi or people that are that have been around. We just don't have a big industrial park and things like that. But just the businesses that give back to everything. I mean, you look at all the sporting events and the field that we did, and just different things in town that is going on, and they all are willing to contribute and join in.
And at every event, I see you out there at the grill.
Yeah,
turning the brats.
I know. It's fun to be at them and see people, and it's been something that my dad always catered and was on all the boards, the chamber, the fire board. I think he's the optimist. Everybody takes their turn and helps out and does it all. But it's been a fun time for me, and to watch my kids grow and be in town. And
so will this go on to the next generation?
I don't know. I have a daughter in college, and my son's going to be a senior this year, and they both work there a little bit. And of course, like me growing up, you don't show much interest. So who knows if one of them will come around? But I don't. It's a tough business. It's a lot of labor and a lot of things. And my dad, obviously, when we grew up, I was doing the processing in high school. He was having me do it. Didn't quite get my son into all those things early enough. He might be a little smarter than me too. I think he'll be doing something else, so we'll see.
All right, but you're still young. You got quite a few years there yet.
Yeah, no, I would think I'm wearing out a little bit. It's a lot, but because anytime and nowadays you put in a lot of hours no matter where you work, but it's Saturdays and sometimes Sundays, and it's constant. And so at some point, obviously my kids are going to be out of the house here shortly. And so at some point I'll have to start, thinking what's going to be the next step, probably in the next 10, 15 years, which is still not too far off.
I was going to say, it can come quicker than you think.
Yeah. So I'm kind of planning a little bit, like, what is the next step?
All right. Any last words before we finish up?
No, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. And sorry it took so long to meet up, and
I understand.
Yeah, no, but it's a good thing you're doing, and thanks for representing Lodi well, and telling everybody what's going on all the time.
There's a lot of stories to tell, and I'm just happy that I can be part of getting them out there.
Sure, no, that's cool.
So, all right. So, thank you, Mike. Thank you for watching, either live or later. As we sign off here, you're going to see a little circle over there. That's going to be a subscribe button. Click on that, and you'll get notified every time that we are going live, and you'll be able to just go straight into the channel and see all of our past videos. And then here, you're going to see a little link to a video, which is the intro that I've done about a year and a half ago. Might have to update that to give you an idea of what Lodi in the world is. So thank you all. Thank you, Mike. And we are signing off.